Time ain't got no heart. Well, you can never tell. Sunnyside Street is dark. You can never tell. You can never tell. I am still in my get-up from last night. I went to bed like this last night. This was my get out of bed. Get out of bed. Get the dead head out. Knock out the dead head. That's all you're getting musically from me. Look, I got my crew back there picking stuff up. Hey, everybody. I know you can't tell, but here I am. It's me, Jeff Kravitz. It is 420 live. Live, not Memorex, not dead. I'm dead, not Memorex. Maybe we'll be back. Bring this back, maybe, if you're lucky. If you're lucky. It is 4/19. It's the day before the biggest holiday of the year. And for us people that are, doing the thing, now I can see you. It's kind of hard to play with those things on. Yes, now I can see you. 4/19. It's Bicycle Day. Yes, Mark Chaldon. Happy Bicycle Day. If you don't know what that means, this was the day that, everybody say it's the first. It's but not the first official LSD trip by Dr. Albert Hoffman. It was officially the first purposeful trip that he took on purpose and then got on his bike to get back from the lab to the laboratory on time. The only reason I know this because I was there on a bike right beside him, tripping balls. Anyway, happy Bicycle Day for everybody that celebrates. I find it really hard to go into those spaces while we're in this kind of conundrum. I'm afraid of what would happen if I go in there. It'll be like the whole 1984-ness of our existence pushes my reality to a different level every day. So I don't really need any kind of substance. But we're celebrating 420 all week long. Let's face it. It's 420 every day, all the time for us guys. It doesn't really matter. It's just that it's like kind of like every day is Christmas kind of thing for stoners. And it's just a kind of a day for us to focus on the actual day and to think about what we've been through as marijuana fans, as cannabis fans. Marijuana was the nomenclature given to it by William Randolph Hearst back in the day when he wanted to demonize it. When they asked the medical professionals about marijuana, they're like, what are you talking about? You talking about cannabis? Cannabis is really important. And it has been important for hundreds of years, thousands of years. And it's just the past 100 years where we've really demonized it and turned away from it. And you could see it making a huge comeback now. I think it's one of the only reasons all these huge cities are staying sane is because everybody's stoned and relaxed and just like, hey, could be worse. If they said we couldn't have weed, it would be a lot worse. And then you'd see people rioting in the streets. But for now, we're at home, we're peaceful. Everybody's taking care of themselves. There's plenty out there. They're delivering it. If you're in California, and I'm sure even if you're not in California, you know where to get weed. I mean, it's always been a thing. It's a lot easier now in the past couple of decades than it was when we were kids, and especially when it comes to quality. And that's our first guest today. And kind of what we're going to get into is some of those strains that are just celebs. They're the celebrities of the cannabis business. So the things that turned us from people that were, just you would smoke anything you could get. When I was a kid, I went to college in Philadelphia, and for $10 you get a little manila envelope around the corner. And this is in downtown Philly at Temple University. And you'd get this tiny little manila folder, and you'd take it back to your room, and you'd dump it out, and there's seeds and stems, and it was brown, and it was what you got. But Sensimilia was the first time I saw that. I remember I was I think junior 17 years old. It would be like 1979 was the first time I saw Sensimelia, and I thought something was wrong with the weed. I'm like, this weed is green and there's no seeds. What the hell's wrong with this stuff? And then come to become a new norm out there. This is the way it is all the time. This is the way we look at all our bud. If bud has seeds in it, then we have an issue with it. And we all know, a lot of us, if you know, there's so much science out there, everybody can read and go out there and figure out any question they have. The internet's an amazing resource. But fortunately, we have some friends. The first person we're going to talk to today is Joe Murray, from better known as AJ Sour Diesel. Sour Diesel is one of those strains, a legendary strain that came up in the early 90s. And there's a ton of information out there about Joe. We used to be a shadowy figure hiding in closets, and now he's out for everybody, and we're happy to have him today. So everybody meet my friend AJ. How you doing?
Hey, what's happening?
Happy 4/19. Happy Bicycle Day.
Yeah, happy Bicycle Day.
How's business? You busy?
Lately I've just been staying home. So, but you know, things are good.
Yeah. So you have a couple of legal grows going in the state of California, and
I consulted for a grow for a little while, but yeah, now I'm done with that. So you're just chilling. I'm just chilling in the woods out here, enjoying my quiet time, and you know, I have a few deals coming up in the future, but I can't really talk about them at the moment.
That's fine. I'm not Mike Wallace, so we're not trying to get to the bottom of anything. But there is the Sour Diesel, as people look at. I mean, I was on Google today, and as soon as I posted up you were coming on, people were like, "Asshole Joe," and bringing up your nickname back in the day, because it was something a lot of people wanted, and you had to make it very difficult. And there were also other people in that industry that had kind of the same thing. Talk about the controversy for it, and about the famous stolen clones that we've heard so much about.
Well, first of all, sometimes you have to be an asshole in this world, you know, just to navigate through all the circumstances that come your way. Yeah, I was never really offended by that. In fact, I kind of like it. But it means that I was being effective at self-preservation. But yeah, and what was the second question?
Well, the second question was, tell us about the stolen clones.
Oh, the stolen clones. Yeah, which time? But
well, I meant Sour Diesel there was one person that had it in the beginning, I believe, and then some clones got stolen. Is that the legacy of how it started spreading out there? Or am I confusing? Oh, I'm up. Wait. I lost Joe. All right. That's our technology. I had a big talk about that today. Oh, here he is. I'm bringing it back. Hold on. You there? I'm not hearing you. Hold on. Make sure your mic's on. Call me back. Call me back. All right. All right. Technology. Yes, everybody likes the Sour Diesel. It's a very, very effective strain. It's creative, but it could also knock you off your feet if you've had a little bit too much. So it is something else. I don't have any right now, but I have some Purple Punch, and I have some. Here we go. Let's see. All right. No, why am I not hearing you? Do you have your earbuds in? I don't hear you. I don't hear you. AJ, work on that a little bit, and I'll bring in Tanner right now and come back to you, because I got Tanner Wire. Tanner Wire.
Jeff Kravitz checking in.
How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Great. I know we were just talking to Joe from AJ Sour Diesel. We're going to get back to him as soon as we get through the technical difficulties. But my friend Tanner Wire is in the house. And you want to tell us a little bit about what we got going in San Francisco tomorrow?
Yeah. So about a month ago, some key dispensary partners in the Bay Area, Magnolia Wellness, BPG, also some people from Dark Heart Nursery kind of approached me and the team of producers about, really trying to figure out a way to kind of flatten the 420 curve. So a big concern for dispensary partners out there right now is that, with the influx of people that just, consume cannabis on this holiday that, we've called it a holiday, they're really worried about social distancing and what's the practices that are going to happen in the dispensary. So we came up with a plan and kind of like a mission-based cause to essentially flatten the 420 curve, highlight our dispensary partners, and also, get people essentially to stock up and then lock up. And then we're providing them with a full day of programming tomorrow and sort of like a telethon in relief for direct relief, which is our charity, of course, to try to like highlight the medical profession, which is how cannabis essentially came to be. So who do
you have coming on tomorrow?
We have Be Real. We have Too Short. We have Citizen Cope. We have some smaller bands like Roots of Creation, Reed Mathis from Electric Beethoven, Robert Walters will be doing a piano set, Big Light will be performing. So we have a really, diverse range of musical performances, but then we also have like Steve D'Angelo and a bunch of cannabis luminaries kind of talking about the scene and how everything came up. So we have a really good day of programming.
What time are you starting?
We're starting at 11 a.m. and then we're going until 6 p.m. So it's 7 full hours. We're raising money. So it's a fully hosted event. We've got different, spots and programming and live feeds and pre-recorded things. And it's been a really awesome thing putting it together. I wish we had a little bit more time to do it because the amount of work that we've achieved in the 20 days that we've kind of been rolling is pretty phenomenal. Our team has been absolutely fantastic.
On YouTube and Facebook?
No, we're actually streaming on Twitch tomorrow. So Twitch is our official partner. We're going to be on the homepage because we found that technology platform is really good for encouraging donations internally and natively within the platform. So we're excited to have Twitch as our partner.
Great. Well, I want everybody to tune in and check out Tanner tomorrow. I'll be on and I'll check you guys out too.
Appreciate it, Jeff. The Great American Session, greatamericansession.com, SESHIN.com.
Great.
So you guys there?
Shoot me a little a message with it on the chat here, and I'll put it up.
Yeah, and then the one thing I just would say is that if you guys haven't stocked up on your cannabis yet, just be a part of the solution, not the problem. Go out and get it today, and then stay home, stock up, lock up, and let's fire it up.
Blaze on.
Exactly.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Well, we're gonna check in and see if we got Joe back. No. What are you using? Are you using earbuds? I don't know what's up with Joe, but we'll bring Joe. I end up just having to figure out what's up with Joe and his software. Yes, I had a huge conversation today about going live and what happens when you go live. So, hold on. Tanner, you're still here? I'm going to bring you in. We had a couple questions.
All right. Hit me.
How to find you on Twitch?
Well, you can actually go to our website, which is the Great American Session, SESHIN.com. And there's a huge link to it on the Twitch page. But if you're on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/the Great American Session. And that's actually on our homepage right now. So you'll be able to go on there and follow the channel as we speak.
All right. Good. Well, I'll be looking forward to tuning in.
Yeah, there's going to be some cool stuff. We've got, the amount of programming that came together last minute has been phenomenal. And it really is just all for a great cause. We're just trying to raise as much money as possible for our charity, which is called Direct Relief. They just recently put out like a $25 million program for PPE and first responders in the medical profession. So it's all going towards a great name while being a mission-based cause, trying to help, these cannabis owners and dispensaries, manage the influx of people tomorrow during social distancing. And also just kind of hopefully provide, 7 hours of levity. You know what I mean? Like, let's get high and hang out.
the distraction factor. Exactly. I find it really hard dealing with stoners and trying to get them to return your calls and shit.
Yeah.
Be real. Once he gets stoned, like trying to get a hold of him after a certain point in the day, forget about it because he's just out of his mind.
Yeah, you find that like as a mixture in the industry too. Like you find people that are very much like on it and kind of like very much on it about like calls and calls back. And then you find we'll just get to it when we get to it, man. But it's always an interesting thing to navigate.
Yeah. I was been dealing with Afro Man. It took him 3 days. I didn't even think he was going to return my call. And at 3, yeah, I'll do it.
I was like, call Kravitz back, but then I got high.
Call Kravitz back. And when I say, he's like, sorry, man, I was high.
Yeah.
And I was like, you were high for 3 days?
Yeah. It was good for 3 full days, man. How you liking your new gig, Kravitz? How you like your talk show?
It's good. It's You know, someone told me today it's stressful because you're dealing with all this technology, and you know when stuff goes wrong, like all of a sudden people lose their audio. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's definitely that's most certainly on my mind as we're going live tomorrow for 7 hours. But we've got a crack tech operations team working on it.
I think you definitely have to have some kind of a plan B.
We have plans. We're actually going to be we've got like a smaller Zoom channel that's going to be running all day. It's like our Zoom boom room instead of like a boom boom room. It's our Zoom boom room.
Right.
We'll have Airwolf that's going to be spinning on that from 1 to 5 p.m. the whole time. So we'll hit all 420s in every single time zone. And that'll be like a private Zoom boom room. So in case you don't want to watch the programming, you just want to listen to some tunes, you can go in there and kind of have like, you know, virtual dance party.
I like it. Yeah, I want to bring Joe in and see if it's working. Are you working, Joe?
You hear me?
Yes. Tanner, thank you.
Joe, thank you for Sour Diesel. Kravitz, thank you for spreading the good word. See you guys tomorrow.
All right. We got you.
Okay.
I love technology. How has technology changed the way you grow?
Very little.
Really? Everything's still the same?
Yeah, I'm a real manual person. So I try to do everything.
Are you a hydroponic guy, or are you more of a soil?
You know, a little of both. Cocoa. You know, it depends. Right now I'm doing a lot of like vegetable gardening. It's that season where I'm composting and making teas and watering my carrots and kale and lettuces and stuff like that. So, you know, when we go inside, you know, I'm pretty manual, hands on there too. You know, so yeah, I've never been really a hydro guy.
So I was watching some of the stuff on Seed to Strain about the these. Are you still there, Joe? Am I?
I'm here.
I was watching the Seed to Strain, and one of the things about the diesel is it's basically like it's a Chem 91, correct? Joe's now frozen.
That's the one thing we do know is that it's a 91.
It is a Chem 91. And so the sour part, one of the reasons you say the sour part comes around is just because how many relationships were soured by the people that were dealing with it because it was like so hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, well, you know, there is a deeper story, but that's why it's I think so powerful is that everyone can relate to that. Is that sour has soured something for them at some point, you know, whether it was the smell giving you away at the wrong time and place, or whether it was your friends, you know, fighting and bickering over it. But I think the name really stuck because of how sour people got.
And how different is because you go into shops now and they're selling the sour diesel, they're selling the Chem 91, they're selling everything. So what's the difference? Is there a difference?
Well, the difference is that the 91 mothered the sour diesel seed, and it didn't get out at first by anyone stealing it. The way I think it got out, the way all clones will follow a pattern like this, where you know you'll have a really good clone and you'll give it to your friend and you'll say, "Dude, you better not give this to anybody," you know. But then he says, "I promise I won't," but then 2 or 3 people get it. And he tells them, "You better not give this to anyone." And so it's the sour sort of trickled out that way. There was theft, and there was a burglary at one point at a place where I was living, but that was further down the road, you know, because I was in like the you know, I basically got the cut in like, you know, basically from 3. You know, promises down the line, like you better not give this to anyone. So that's when I came into possession of it. And yeah, shortly thereafter, someone broke into my house and stole it, and you know, went off in a whole different direction from there.
So, and what was that? Was that 92, 93, 94 around then?
No, that was in 98.
Oh, so it was a lot later. Because I didn't first see the sour diesel till 98 at a fish show. I met G, and I met through Big Phil with Bundy, and those guys. That's where the first place I saw the Chem Dog and tried it, and was like, "Whoa, what is this?" It was a completely different flavor and effect, and it was so stinky.
Yeah, it kind of like it changed you forever once you were exposed to that 91. It changed your expectations forever.
And this year I saw you, we were hanging at Grasslands, and I met the guys up in Northern California that have the Chem 91, and I got a piece of it, and it was almost like time traveling when I put it in my bong. It was like, wow, the flavor just takes you right back. You're just like, it's hard to imagine that people keep the strains as pure as they do. How long did you keep the Sour D going? And where you have it going somewhere, right? Somehow
it's always going somewhere. Yeah. I mean, you can't let it die. So yeah.
It's just unbelievably tasty and unbelievable. What do you think about things like Grasslands and how it's coming into the modern culture? So did you ever see anything like that possible? You ever think you'd go to a concert and be able to walk up and get what you wanted and sit somewhere else? And
no, it's you know, it still makes me like a little nervous because I'm like, really, come on, this is cool, you know. I heard someone saying like complaining about saying there's no cigarette smoking allowed here in the outdoor area of Grasslands, which I found to be hilarious because, you know, we finally reached a day where, you know, you can smoke weed, but you can't smoke cigarettes. And it's like you used to want to make your joint look like a cigarette so that nobody would notice that you were the guy smoking weed. And now it's like, you know, now if you're smoking a cigarette, they're going to come up and bother you and tell you, you know, you can only smoke weed here. So it's this weird flip, and it's in reality. And if you've lived through the times we have, it's weird, right? You know?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I know you've been doing legal grows or involved consulting legal grows. How much has legality affected what you're doing?
Well, I mean,
made it a lot harder.
I mean, regulation affects everything you're doing. So yeah, regulation kind of changes everything. You know, I've never had to have fire lanes, you know, in a grow before. We used to just do a grow that looked like a cornfield inside, you know. So now everything is regulated to the point where, you know, they come in and they make you change whatever it is you intended to do into doing it, you know, a certain way.
Well, a lot of people in California, especially, are blaming the laws and our governor and on being a thing that's stymieing the growth.
Yeah, I think financially is the way that they're hurting the most. I mean, a little bit of regulation is good for all industry. I think we want to make sure everything's safe and easy, but yeah, the way they go about doing it, whenever you get the government involved in something, you're making it less efficient and overcomplicated, in my opinion. So they're doing their job.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I find myself going back to my old black market friends more than wanting to go to the shops, just because I don't want to spend $78 an eighth for something I like. The sour diesel is expensive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the base now there's this huge middleman taking, you know, the lion's share of everything and doing none of the work, and then the consumer and the manufacturer is paying for it. So
yeah, it's been an unbelievable change. I mean, there's a lot of things I love about it, and then there's a lot of things that I'm just like, okay, they need to figure out a way to make it work for the people and not feel like you're getting ripped off every time you go to the store. I saw that when Illinois went legal, everybody was complaining about how expensive it was, and somebody got on there and I was like, wait, you got legal weed and you're complaining? No matter what the price, you should be happy you could go to the store and buy it.
Yeah, but you know what? You should be happy to have a scrap of dignity instead of all your dignity, and that's what that statement means. Because, you know, no other industry is regulated and taxed this way, and it is grossly unfair. You take a group of people who have been oppressed their whole lives, and then you make them feel like they're free now, but we're still being punished. We're you know, it's regarded as something that's now tolerated because they can get money from it, and it's not treated with the dignity it deserves like any other industry.
Well, and I also find that it's kind of like a conundrum for smokers, because they made all these laws where you can't smoke in bars and you can't smoke indoors and you can't smoke. Vegas is probably the biggest thing in the world. You can buy the weed, but you can't smoke it in your room. You can't smoke it in public on the streets, and you can't smoke it in a private establishment either. So there's nowhere to really legally smoke it, but you can buy it. So you create, there's all these catch-22s and stuff going around. It's eventually kind of happy medium with it, but for now, it's definitely we have growing pains. I don't know federally is going to change everything or what, but something's got to change.
Yeah. And there's also like a grand misconception that getting into this business is some sort of gold mine. When people ask me for advice on investing in this business, I usually tell them invest somewhere else, open a gas station across the street from someone else's dispensary or facility, open a bar or restaurant, you'll do a lot better.
Yeah, well, let's face it. We all think we're experts and connors, and we're all just like, oh, I could do this. There's definitely, yeah.
You have to want to be in this industry. It's not something you go to for the money. I'll say that.
Well, it's eating people and businesses at a huge clip. Some of the smartest people that have been in it for decades, once they tried to go in legitimate with the investors and the fly-by-nighters and everything else, yeah, it's unbelievable how fast people are phasing in and phasing out. I talked to a friend of mine that went involved with this company called Genius, and they had a beautiful shop on Melrose Boulevard, and they had a Russian oligarch who was throwing all this cash into it, and he's like, I want to be the Apple store. I want to be the guy throughout the world. And everybody in it was so money hungry and greedy and backstabbing. The whole thing blew up. And I think that's ultimately what happens is everybody wants to get rich, but they want to get rich now. And they don't want to put in the work, and they have no long-term projection for it. And it's just like you're trying to get
Apple
rich.
Apple only has a few competitors, and in actuality, they really don't have any. So you're never going to be that in this industry because you're going to have a lot of competition.
Yeah. Well, you've had a lot of competition throughout the years and still kept your head together and raised above it. And I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And even through the technical glitches, we got you in here. And I wish you a happy holiday, a happy high holy day.
You too.
And I look forward to seeing you in person. You moved out of my town, so now I got to wait for you to come back down.
Yeah, I'll be around one of these days.
Yeah, once we can be face to face again and actually pass a joint and not just smoke the whole thing ourselves.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Joe. Take care.
Good to see you.
All right, Joe Mary, AJ Sour Diesel. I'm going to throw up his little clip here. I grabbed his Instagram handle there. Joe Mary. He's definitely a controversial figure out there in the business. Phase 2, part 2 of our show today. We're going to bring it a little. The feminine side of this business, the women in cannabis are the people that are really uniting us around different factions. Vanessa Lavorato has started Marigold Sweets. She has an amazing company where they are making high quality caramelized chocolate. And I was on her website today. It's sold out. She must be working night and day. So I'm going to bring her in. It's sold out, Vanessa.
It's sold out because I can't sell it. Yeah, I mean
you can't sell it online.
You know why? I have the non-medicated chocolates, like regular chocolates, strictly for trademark reasons. I have to sell across state lines to have a federal trademark.
Got you.
So I have to do regular chocolates. But I'm going to put them back up on my website very soon. Just waiting for some kitchen details, obviously. Making products right now, I have to make sure everything is really clean and very careful. So
yeah, so you from studying up a little bit about you, I saw that you weren't a chocolatier and that you had to figure out everything yourself, and then you're in this very high end now of edible chocolates. How many milligrams are in each of those little things? Or
I put 10 when they're infused. I put 10 milligrams of THC in each chocolate. I'm considering doing a 1-to-1, so 5 milligrams CBD and 5 THC, just to have some people. 10 milligrams is a lot, and I wish I could do more. I used to be able to do 25 milligrams before regulations hit in California. So those were my biggest sellers. Those were the most popular with the 25.
Is 10 milligrams CBD and THC combined?
No, it's just it's 10 milligrams THC, and then I'm considering doing, it would be 10 milligrams. 10 milligrams of 5 and 5 of CBD and THC for 10-fold milligrams of cannabinoids. But just to keep the THC down, because some people, like, 10 milligrams is heavy, it's not for everyone.
Well, you build up a tolerance over time. Do you eat edible every day? Do you edible every day?
I had like 15 milligrams today, but that was mainly because I just wanted to eat the gummies, because I was like, I didn't buy enough candy and I'm not going to the grocery store. So but once a month. And so I like really went through my candy quickly, like my gummies. I got 2 big bags of Sour Patch Kids and Haribo gummy bears, and I just smashed them both. So like the first week, it was like there was no prisoners. I took no prisoners. I just ate them all. So I ate like 15 milligrams today of these gummies I got from my local dispensary, Cornerstone, here in Los Angeles.
Oh, so you're in LA. You're here.
Yeah.
Right? So you're staying home. You haven't been out to the market or anything?
No, I mean, I have. I'm just trying to go like once a month, or just very
as little
infrequent.
As possible.
Yeah, because like that's what we've been asked to do.
So what are you doing as far as making more chocolates? Do you do them at home, or?
I can't make them for non-medicated. I can make it home. Like the regular chocolates, I can do that as a cottage food handler. But for the infused chocolates, I was working with a manufacturer for over a year, and they closed down overnight. But good news, I found a new manufacturer who is an old friend of mine, and they have space in their kitchen. No one is there. It's totally empty. So I can go in and make them by hand, because that's the biggest thing that was difficult about legalization was like, most small businesses would kind of grow. They'd go and get a small kitchen and kind of like do it that way. But in order to get a license, you need so much money that you just can't, there's just like no way to do it that way. So I had to look at co-manufacturers for my chocolates, but it was always this thing of, well, I don't want to give up my craft. I do it because I enjoy making chocolates and I enjoy making edibles, and candy makes me happy. And like, and I just like think it makes everyone happy, but it really makes me happy. So, but now the situation, I mean, I just went to go look at it 2 days ago. It's really nice. And it's like, legal, compliant, and something I've tried to be in this industry for as long as I could. But it's onerous. It makes it really difficult to be in the industry legally. It's impossible. Even if you have, I don't want to say it's impossible, but even if you have like crazy amount of capital, the amount of brands that we've just seen like crumble in the last year and just like lay off half of their staff, and like these were, these big old brands that were swinging around Las Vegas and being like, we're here, look at us. And then overnight it was like
gone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think that, but then, and at the beginning of the pandemic, all those stocks were so in the pooper. And then in the past couple of weeks, that whole market has the whole cannabis sector has kind of come up. And do you find the demand a lot more for what you're creating?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get going. I mean, I think being in this industry I've been in it since 2010. So I feel like I've got the long game in sight. I was listening to your conversation about how a lot of people expect to come into this industry and just make a lot of money overnight. And I really agree with that. Like, I think people see it as the green rush. Mm-hmm. But you know what was the stories of the gold rush and who really made the money, and same thing for this industry. It's like you have to really you can't be in it to make money overnight. It's just not how it is.
And I saw your one talk in New Orleans, and you were talking about the gold rush and how people made more money selling the pans and the pickaxes.
Yeah. It's all the people selling the child-resistant packaging.
Yes, the child-resistant packaging.
Yeah, in my opinion, but I get it. Like it's a fun industry to be in, and I've definitely seen an uptick of interest since the pandemic has started, because it's an essential business and people are like really, I think the mental impact of this is going to be like there's going to be a long ripple effect of that. And I think, at least for me personally, weed helps my like mental state.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kept me really calm during this time period. And like making edibles has been really fun. Been making a lot of butter. Tomorrow I'm making brown butter for the Miss Grass.
Do you want to talk about the Miss Grass event tomorrow a little bit? That's a fundraiser.
Yeah, so it's going to be really quick. It'll be my 30-minute brown butter in 15 minutes, because it's a quick segment for them. And you can RSVP. It's for the Last Prisoner Project, and it's all like any donations go directly to that, but it's free. Otherwise, you just have to say you're going to, be there at the event, so we know how many people are there. And I'll just be doing that recipe and showing people how to take a gram. You can make edibles as strong as you want to make them, right? You just put more weed. That's as simple as that. Usually what people tell me is that they're too strong. And reverse is true. Just put less weed. Good. Right. You're not wasting,
The best statistic I tell people all the time is that when you smoke weed, you get 13% of the available cannabinoids in your system through your lungs. When you eat it, you get 100.
Yeah.
So you have to think about exponentially. If you're that same hit that got you that high, imagine eating 100% of it and then what it does to you. And I saw your whole thing about the couch cookies, or it was the cookie. Wait, what do they call it?
Cookie casualty.
Cookie casualty.
Yeah.
And I have so many friends, the same thing, because it's time release. You don't give yourself enough time with your edibles. You have to give it an hour.
They wait maybe 15 minutes, and then they're
but
like,
it's the same. Today's bicycle day, with the anniversary of Albert Hoffman taking his famous bicycle trip ride. And it's the same thing with LSD and mushrooms. If you eat, it's like, oh, I don't feel it, I'm going to take another one. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, oops.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I've seen it happen to many a friend. How did you hook up with the guys from Outside Lands and Grasslands this year?
Oh, they reached out to me. It wasn't through any, I don't know who recommended me, but they had reached out to just do like one segment for them on stage of how to cook with weed. And then they asked me to host the whole stage. And I was like, great, because I had so many friends who I could recommend, both from the culinary restaurant scene and then also from the cannabis industry, just from doing Bong Appetit and doing the show, and also being like, I've written about food for many years. So I have a lot of friends who are chefs, and my friend Brandon Jew came on, and he's a really talented chef in San Francisco. And we infused like this, it was like noodles, almost like cold noodles. And we infused the chili sauce that came with it. We used the Dank Duchess's hash. I like rolled temple balls with her on stage, and it was so fun. It was such a chill vibe there. It's like the rest of Outside Lands was totally nuts, like just drug people on whatever, who knows, and just running into you and stuff. And then you'd get to Grasslands and everybody was just so like calm.
Yeah. Everybody was kind of blown away because the rest of the fairgrounds was kind of trash. It'd be trash everywhere, but Grassland impeccable. Everybody kept respectful of the land, and it's amazing to me. I've been shooting concerts for years, for decades now, to go somewhere to see it that accepted and in that kind of environment where you're just walking up and there's 6 people around a picnic bench and everybody's just blazing away and talking about it and how open it was. It's a new paradigm. It's a new era that's been amazing. I mean, I've been a passionate smoker for 40 plus years. So for me, it's kind of crazy because in the beginning, everybody's like, no.
Right.
And now I realize it's kept me balanced, like you said, and like has been a constant theme of people that I've talked to all week. There's no such thing as recreational use. It's all medicinal use.
Yeah.
It's all focused and balanced. How did you figure out that you wanted to bring it to food? What was your moment, your light bulb moment where you're like, I really want to try to cook with cannabis?
I mean, I first started cooking with cannabis like in Santa Cruz. I was up in the Santa Cruz mountains, like out of high school, like in junior college. And someone gave me a jar of weed butter that, back then it was like 1000x or something like that, like no milligrams, just like super strong and bright green. And I made a pie crust with it, and we just got really like, it was delicious. I made an apple pie. It was really, really tasty, but I was like, holy shit, this is not like smoking. And it took me took a couple days to get out of my system. But after that, I was like, whoa, that's so cool that you can like make food. Like you can make weed taste really delicious, and it like has an effect on you. You know, it's kind of like getting drunk, you know, like, or not really, but like, you know, the same idea that you can use something that you eat, you know, like something that you ingest. And that was interesting to me, to see it as a food rather than something that you smoke. And I think for a lot of people, it's like interesting because it seems less harsh than smoking, you know, like.
Well, they're saying don't smoke right now because of this is a lung thing and everybody.
I know. I mean, stop me. Yeah. I'm staying home. Okay. Like enough. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have been eating a lot of edibles, which has been great at night for sleep, just like going to bed and eating a cookie or.
Well, that's the effect they have on me is most of the time I just get knocked out. I pass out. I can't believe if in the creative space, I mean, it's so hot. Smoking just serves me so much better because I can smoke and function. But if I eat, I have to be ready to just be incommunicado.
Good night. Yeah.
My wife eats the chocolate every day, and she likes that, and she eats about 15, 20. She picked up a gummy the other day and ate 40 milligrams, and it was hilarious. She kept us entertained all night long. So sometimes it's entertaining when somebody eats too much too. So
it is, but I feel bad for them because it's like I feel their pain. I've been there, and then it's just like the best thing to do is just eat something delicious. You know what I mean? Like that's not infused, and you put on something funny and you have like this snack, or food is like, it's like this distraction, right? It's like this comfort. And especially when you're stoned, it's just like that's like the joy for me. That was the joy of getting high, was like those moments when you would, you know, I'd have like a maple long john or like Thai food or whatever, and you're just kind of like just engrossed in those senses. Like it heightens your senses.
Yes,
you know? So,
it's an enhancer for sure. It does not numb you. It makes everything taste better, sound better. You know, music, food. But it's so funny though, because I see you cooking with it, and I'm just like, how do you know? Because you're telling me that 10 milligrams is fine, but I was watching Bon Appetit. You're like, oh, more keef in there, and let's more of this and more of that.
We won't talk. That was not under my direction. I was always like, we're putting way too much. Like the pizza episode, we put so much sauce in the pizza sauce. Like people were like, oh my gosh, hallucinating. Like, no way. Like, sometimes I was like, you guys are crazy. Like but you know, there's also this culture of like, more is more is more. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's really celebrated in this industry. And for me, it's like, I'd rather less. It's like expensive, man.
Yeah,
it's like
I've talked to people that eat 500 milligrams and that's their thing. And I'm like, wow, that's nuts. And you're functioning. Oh, I love it. I'm like, wow. So I think it also becomes the kind of thing like a guy used to drink a case of beer and say, I can still survive. You know, it's like a mental contest. So Bon Appetit's finished, correct? No mas?
Yeah. I mean, Vice has not contacted me to do another season, so I think it is done. But
would you have something else in the works that you can talk about?
I mean, nothing like concrete right now, but yeah, I'm working on things, and mainly like writing and doing some research so that I can like have something to say. And working with, I have an article coming out on Food 52 about canna butter, and I did some lab testing on decarboxylation and infusion, just to know like really how long things actually need to take, because I love efficiency, you know, like I'm more of a Sandra Lee semi-homemade, like let's get it done quick than like, you know, taking an 8-hour making butter project, like forget it. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, I mean, I have a Patreon, which I am very active on, and that's what we're doing, is we're lab testing, and we're they're helping me to write my cookbook, which is great. So I'm working with all of these people who are really passionate about weed, and we have this community, and we chat about like, what if you decarb, in an Instant Pot, with pressure cooking, how would that affect the cannabinoids, and just like really thinking about it.
Is that when you put it in the butter and release, and the two fats together get together?
That's infusion.
That's infusion. Decarbonization, when it hits a certain temperature and releases the.
It's when the carboxylic acid. So in its raw form, cannabis is THCA. You need heat and time to activate it so that you'll have the psychoactive effects.
Right, and it's a certain temperature, right, that it decarboxylizes at.
Yeah, and it's like certain amount of time, but there are so many different ways to do it. Like you can do it in the oven, you can do it sous vide. So what I'm really interested in is like, okay, which methods actually work? Because they have, I don't know how. I've read some of the articles out there on it, but they leave some questions for me. We definitely know the oven works at 245 in the oven after 20 minutes, about 75 or 70% of the cannabinoids are activated. By 30 minutes, it's like 80%. But then you have to consider that when you're actually baking the cookies, like unless you're eating the butter raw, when you bake the final recipe, it also activates the cannabinoids in that time period too. So those were some of the experiments I've been doing with CW Analytical, which is a lab based in the Bay Area. And they've been really like awesome to work with and super like into it. Cause like we're doing this all at home, taking it into their lab, and they're testing it all. And we took all of these data points, and we have graphs, and it comes out tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, you're a true gift to the. Wonderful to meet you. Studying about you and learning what you've been up to it was amazing. My daughter and I sat there, and I hit the chocolates. I'm like, oh damn, I gotta find these. So where are they in LA?
They're not out yet, but they'll be at Cornerstone and they'll be at Mota, and I'll be posting on my Instagram when they're available. Yes,
and I actually popped your Instagram up here in my banners. There you go. I screwed that up, didn't I?
Vanessa, yeah.
Vanessa. It's Vanessa. That's S. I will correct that.
It's okay.
Thank you so much. I hope you stay safe. And I want everybody to tune in tomorrow and catch out your event. And also, it's a very important event. It's about prison reform. And that's a really big subject, taking people out of the prisons that are there for the marijuana laws, especially in states where it's legalized, correct?
Especially right now.
Yes. So, especially now because we're getting sick. So thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Tk you so much. Bye.
Great to meet you. There it is, the beautiful people in this business, inside and out, and making it work. It was a pleasure talking to our guest today. Sorry about the technical snafus, but that's a hallmark here at 420 Week. I'm not expecting everything to go perfect. Jeff Kravitz Show. Get a solo pipe from Solo Pipe Venice. We'll get one today to Vanessa and to Tanner and to our friend AJ, Sour Diesel, AJ, Joe Murray. The Also Organics, our CBD representative this month, the Kravitz code 420 for 20% off all weekend long. Heady Old School Glass. You guys have less than 24 hours to go into my @Jeff Kravitz Instagram and enter for this beautiful hand-blown glass from my friends at Heady Old School Glass. Asher's Chocolates, also providing chocolates. All guests of the Jeff Kravitz Show, 420 Live, will get Asher's Chocolates. And yes, we're going to be in Zoom after the show. So see that number right there? Get a little screen grab. I'm going to leave it up here while I do my send-off, 5 p.m., which is in 2 minutes. We're going to be at the house tomorrow, 420 on 420 on 420 Live, 423, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. It's going to be 420. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have 420 with Afro Man technologically. If the stoners can get it together, Afro Man's going to be here for 420. My good friend Leon's going to be here. Leon from the 5 Heartbeats, amazing actor, singer. You got to check out his band if you haven't heard his music. He's an amazing, amazing reggae artist and a great friend of mine for decades. And we're going to talk to a couple other people. We're going to pop in and just say hi. So come in tomorrow, say hi with us here at 420 Live. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Do something nice for someone. Hydrate, liquidate, take care of yourselves, and get your stash before tomorrow, because we don't want to be jamming up the streets all trying to get our bud. You know, you don't want to be stressful on 420. Here's the hug, everybody. Coming at you from my house with a big cock. Pow, let it out. I got one last thing. Ready? Peace, love, happiness for all of you. I love you all. Have a great day. See ya.